All right, hey gang, what's up? JG Pastor Jack here from MovieCamera.com, and we are taking a look, and I'm going to give you some tech tips on putting together your new Cinemotivator motor kit for your Cinemover, or for that matter, any other skater dolly or sort of free rolling small camera dolly. That's one of the cool things about this is you can sort of adapt it to any free rolling dolly. So let's go over the different parts that came out of your box when you pour it out on your kitchen table. You should have gotten an end like this. Yours was probably black. I did make a few white ones just because I ran out of black stuff there for a while. So this is what I refer to as the power end or the hot end. This is where the motor goes. This is, of course, the bracket for the motor. You'll need a 7/64 Allen head wrench to work with this. Tightening down this clamp for the motor right here. You should have gotten one of these. This is what I call the idler end. This is just a bracket with a couple of bearings on it that your ball chain is going to run. You should have gotten also 20 feet roughly of ball chain. This is the key to the entire system. This is basically a larger version of the stuff that hangs off of your ceiling fan or that keeps a pen at the gas station checkout counter and prevent you from stealing it. And if you have ever taken your chain off of your ceiling thing, you know that there's a little clip that goes into, and I sent you a few of those as well. I sent you a couple with these hook ends on them that the ball chain clips into on the back there, and then I sent you a couple of these which can actually attach right to the cheese deck of your Cinemover using a couple of 1032 screws that were also in the bag that I sent you. So these you'll have to just bend up a little bit. I'll show you on the Cinemover here in 1 second. You have to bend these up a little bit so the ball chain can go in there. But that's the key to the whole system, is that this ball chain, rather than using a fixed length drive belt or a fixed length chain, this ball chain is completely adjustable. So your run can be however long it needs to be. If you need to order a longer chain from me, that's fine, I got it. Or if you need to cut it or spool it up, whatever, to make it shorter, you can do that too. And that's really the cool thing about this whole system. So I'm going to show you how I set mine up. Of course, this is a tool. And one of the great things about all my customers is they find really, really cool different ways to use these tools. So I'm just going to show you sort of one way to do this and how I've been doing it. You may find something way better. If so, give me a call. Let me answer a quick question that I know I'm going to get is, what are you using for a track for your Cinemover? And this is my buddy Gosha over here, by the way. He's out during all my development and building processes, giving me advice and just generally being a dude. So this is a piece of extruded aluminum beam. It's called self-mating beam because it comes in like these C-shaped cross sections like this, and you take it and you put it together like that and screw it together, and it makes a nice box section beam. This is actually just one C section of it, but you can get this if you have a place in your town that does screen pool enclosures or like sunrooms or carports, aluminum carports. They will have a ton of this stuff, and it's cheap. It's like a couple of bucks a foot, and it's super smooth and easy to work with and light. And I know a lot of you guys use the vinyl fence posts, which is awesome. And this is like the step up from the vinyl fence post, if you can find it. So yeah, find a screen porch place or a carport place or a pool place, and they should have this. So first thing we'll do is we'll hook up the idler end. Or actually, the first thing we'll do is we'll hook up the Cinemover connections. So let me move the camera and we'll show you how to do that. Okay, now we're all super macro zoomed in. So here is that little ball chain connector that I showed you. This is just screwed right onto my cheese plate here. You can also, if you're just going to use these hooks, these hooks will go right through the cheese plate. You can kind of bend them over a little bit to put some tension on them. But these are basically the connections you're going to put on your Cinemover. Now, you want both of these to be at the same distance from here on your Cinemover. So put them on the same row of holes. And, you know, don't get obsessed with getting these in the center, because whatever width the Cinemover is, your center is going to change, obviously. So what you need to be more concerned with is having a straight run of chain from your power end to here, across, and then back over here. And we'll show you how to do that in a minute. So next we're going to be down at the idler end, and we'll show you how to set that up. All right, so here we are at the idler end, which is positioned precariously close to my garage door because I'm using actually nearly a 9.5 foot piece of beam here to run on. So both of these ends are attached down to my beam with those 3-inch tap bolts and the fender washers that I sent you a couple of wing nuts in there. But really, you know, that's just a basic way to attach them. If you need to clamp these to something, if you need if you're attaching them to something wood, maybe you can just do some lag bolts right through here. The thing is, wherever you're attaching these, this is just a suggestion. Using these 3-inch bolts, you just basically need to have this end and the power end pointing at each other, and you can do a roll anywhere. And I think that's one of the neat things about this system. So here is the end of our ball chain. Going to pass it under the gear here, and because I have big sausage fingers with parrot bites all over them, I'm going to use my needle nose pliers here to grab it. So we just pass it under there and pull it around the top towards the Cinemover. So I will meet you back at the Cinemover and we'll show you how to do the first connection. Okay, so I got this frame so we can see all the connections on this end. So here is the end that we just passed under the idler, and over the top we're going to connect just the last ball probably to the clip on this side of the Cinemover. So that is now clipped in. We can roll this a few inches out of the way. This is the other end of the chain. So we're going to take our motor right here. This is a 60 RPM motor. 60 RPM motor is a little bit longer than the 3.5 RPM motor that I sent you. It's also got a shinier case. I don't know if that's going to be like that forever, or if whoever is building these is going to change their production standards every time they build a new run of motors or whatever. But for now, the 60 RPM are longer than the 3.5 RPM. So we're going to loosen our clamp just a little bit. Slide them. Now you'll notice that the gear on this thing is offset a little bit. We're going to use that to do our final adjustments when we tighten everything down. So when you put this through and get your motor pressed in there, a couple things you want to do first off is you want to have your gear lined up with the central groove of these two bearings right here. And I got that one pretty close. And you also want to have the gear sort of forward so we can go back and tighten that up later. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tension on this now and snug it up. We're then going to take, this is the other end of our chain. This is coming from the bottom. We're going to pass this under the gear, take all the slack out, and you can see now as we pull on this, it pulls the Cinemover. So we're going to take all the slack out, not pull it super tight, but just take all the slack out, go over top of the gear, under this pulley, and then to the Cinemover into our other clip attachment here. And we're going to adjust this right now so it's, I'm going to say taut but not tight, because we can do our final adjustment with the motor. So basically, I've had a lot of questions about how tight do I want my chain. Well, you don't want your top, what we've done is we've created a loop of chain with the Cinemover in the middle. You don't want your top chain to be so loose that it touches the bottom chain. That's a good rule of thumb. However, the longer your run is, the looser your chain is going to be, just because of the weight of the chain. And you know, it's only going to be able to take so much strain. So I'm stretching this now, so there's a bow to that chain, and that's a 7-foot length of chain right there. I'm stretching it now so there's a little bit of a bow to it, but it's not touching the bottom chain. The bottom chain, of course, is going to drag on the surface. So we'll take one more link out of here, maybe. and clip it in. I think that's a pretty good place to start. Now we got some tension in both sides, and then we can do our final. He wants a director's credit, I think. We can do our final adjustment by twisting the motor a little bit. And actually, it's pretty tight right now, but if you need to do some more adjustments, you could twist that motor, and the fact that that gear is offset, it'll move that gear back and take some more tension. So we'll just go ahead and tighten the motor down right where she is. Make sure everything, actually, yeah, there you go. You can see how you can twist that motor, and it moves and takes up some of the tension in that chain. You want to maintain a gap between your chains on the bottom, obviously. So there we go. So now we are all set up, and we can make our power connections. So you're going to get your 12-volt power adapter, plug it in, plug the end of the power adapter into your speed control, hook your speed control to the motor using the bullet connectors, and you are ready to roll. You stepped right on my line. So our motor's all hooked up, and it's working, and that's the basic setup. So now it's tech tip time, and I'm sure as users get their hands on these things and use them more and more, we'll have more and more tech tips to add. But the first thing I want to let you know is I've had a lot of questions about batteries. Right now we've got our 12-volt adapter plugged into this thing, but you can get a 12-volt hobby battery. And there should have been a female connector to match this male Tamiya connector on your speed control in the bag with the speed control. The speed control will run off of 6 to 16 volts. These are ideally 12-volt motors, but they'll run fine on 6 volts. They'll run fine on 16 volts. You know, will it run forever on 6 or 16 volts? It's going to create a little bit of additional heat, but chances are you're not going to blow your motor up. But they like 12 volts, so if you can give them 12 volts is better. So this is a 12-volt battery pack that we've charged, and we have put our female Tamiya connector on here. So we're going to unplug our plugged-in power supply, plug in our battery pack, and we see that it works just as well as regular power. So that is a great idea. And I'm going to put this battery pack I found on Amazon. I will link it on the page where you can buy your motor kit. So you can buy the same battery pack here. But any hobby shop, any good hobby shop that sells RC cars or RC airplanes, just go in, ask for a 12-volt battery pack, and you're going to need a charger too, obviously. But they should be able to hook you up as well. But if you buy it off of my site, I get a couple of bucks or something, and I can keep him quiet for a while. So I just thought that was super, super cool. I haven't done any durability testing yet. I don't know how long this battery will last, but I would think, I mean, this is a 1600 milliamp per hour battery. The motors, this motor at full clip draws like 2 amps. So, you know, I would imagine if you have a couple of these charged up, you're going to get a pretty full afternoon of shooting out in the woods. But, you know, once somebody does some real testing, let me know how it goes, and we will see from there. My light is flashing. You can probably see that in the video now, which probably looks kind of cool. So let me show you a quick thing on the chains, and we will be done here. Okay, so here's my tech tip for you on the chain. When you set this up, you want to make sure that everything points at everything else that it's supposed to point to. So basically, if you see, the connections here are not in the center of the Cinemover, so my motor mount is offset a little bit to compensate for that. Don't be so obsessed with getting everything right in the center, because it doesn't matter. You're still pulling the thing from one side to the other. So you want your bottom chain and your top chain to be as parallel as possible when viewed from above. You can kind of see right along there. Those are as parallel as possible. Now, is that mandatory? No, but if these are offset a little bit, then what's going to happen is as you get closer to the end here, it's going to want to pull your chain to one side or other of the idler, and then possibly even pull it off the gear. So if you're in a situation where you can't have those parallel, not the end of the world. You're just going to have to operate more towards the center of the run. But the closer you can keep these chains to parallel when viewed from above, the better off you'll be. Now, this bottom chain is always going to run on the surface, but just because of the weight of the chain is going to help it touch the surface. This aluminum stuff is very live, so there is a little bit of chain slap. Yeah, I'm tapping it right there. So compensate for that. You can put a piece of tape on there, or this aluminum is naturally very, very noisy. A piece of plastic is not going to be as noisy. A piece of wood is going to be even quieter. So just be ready to deal with something like that just in case you have to. So that is so far the hookup guide for the Cinemotivator motor kit. It's $200 with a 60 RPM motor, $225 with a 60 RPM motor and a 3.5 RPM motor, which is great for doing time lapses. I can order any motor that you want from half an RPM to like 1200 RPM, which you would never ever want to put on this because you would kill yourself and everything you've ever loved. But if you need a custom setup, call me or email me and we can custom order something. And that's what I know, and you can order it on our website, moviecamera.com. Thank you so much for being a customer. We love doing this stuff for you guys. You can see this is basically what I do when I'm not doing my real job. I'm out in the garage building cool stuff for people smarter than me to make great movies, and to do it cheaply. So thank you very much for supporting us, and buy a motor kit for your Cinemover. Good night.